Rookies report to training camp tomorrow. Football is just about back, and if you are not yet signed up for NewOrleans.Football, fix that today. Use the code NOF to save 20% on your first payment. NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. You'll get access to all of our news, all of our articles. You get to watch the podcast live hours before everybody else. Practice reports are coming. Team reports are coming. Everything you need to know. Make sure you're signed up and get on that today. All right, welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. We are coming to you from the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, right next door to my guy, Matt Bowers. If you're in the market for a new car, make sure you check him out at one of his many locations all throughout the region. You will have the best car buying experience of your life at one of Bowers' dealerships. We're going to have a great show today. Willie Snead joins us to break down the 49ers offense, talk about his future in football, his time in New Orleans, and we're going to get into some training camp preview stuff because we are a week away from going to California. We'll be right back after this quick word from our sponsors. Ochsner Health inspires healthier lives and stronger communities through a combination of standard-setting expertise, quality, and connection not found anywhere else in the region. To learn more about how Ochsner empowers people to get well and stay well, visit ochsner.org. Long live you. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Time for a new watch? Go check out Friend & Company Fine Jewelers' wide array of Breitling watches at their showroom on Maple Street. They have every type of watch that you want, and they can get you right for any type of occasion. And while you're there, check out their engagement salon. They'll make sure you find the perfect ring for that special someone. Their experienced staff offer 5-star customer care to help you find the perfect watch, ring, or whatever else you're looking to buy. Visit them today. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, 7713 Maple Street between Adams and Burdett, 504-866-5433, or visit them at friendandcompany.com. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show. Welcome back to the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio, and it is now time for the lead presented by Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers are the official jewelers of the New Orleans Saints, and they should be your official home for your next Breitling watch. Make sure you go down to their location on Maple Street. Check out Ken, his array of watches. They'll get you right. They'll get you that nice timepiece, something classy, get you going, and make sure that you're always on time. So if while you're there, check out their engagement salon too. Get your lady a ring, whatever you need. Ken has you taken care of with your jewelry needs. All right. Let's bring in Willie Snead now to break down the Kyle Shanahan offense, his time in New Orleans, and what's next in his future football career. All right, we're joined now by Willie Snead, former Saint, one of the I'm just gonna say it. Like I think watching your rise that year was like it was one of my favorite things covering the team. Like it was just kind of a great summer that first year you were here, and I've always just kind of wondered like. During that summer, 2015, like to us watching it, it looked like things clicked quick and like you were just off and running and kind of dominating right away. Like, were you feeling that early in that camp, or like did it take a little bit of time for you to kind of build it up and like really build that belief in yourself?
I mean, yeah, I felt really good going into that camp because it was my second time around in an NFL camp. So just being, just used to the NFL style at that point coming out of college. I was familiar with the system as well because I had signed with New Orleans the year prior on the practice squad for the last 3 games in 2014.
Yeah.
So I got a early step on the playbook. And then, you know how OTAs, those offseason workouts go, just being able to go through that. And then it all sped up leading up to training camp. And it was just like, for me, it was just, just doing everything I did, the last couple, OTAs and mini camp that we did. It was just continuing that to be consistent. Cause that was one thing Sean always talked about is being a consistent player is just how your longevity in this league happens. So, that's what I always prided myself on was just being consistent and, trying to not make the same mistake twice. So, once that 2015 season came, it was just like, man, this is my year to do it. If I don't do it now, it's probably not going to happen. So, I had a little bit more motivation going into it. And, that thing, just thinking back to that 2015 year, it was like a rush, man. It happened so fast. But like when you're in it, you really just trying to go hard and appreciate every moment, especially when you're up at the green bar, man. That weather it was awesome.
Yeah. What do you think it was about your game that felt so tailor made for you and Drew? It just kind of seemed like you guys had special chemistry like right away, right from the beginning. Like what was it about it that clicked?
I think it was just, my attention to detail and just, learning the playbook and learning every position. At the time, Johnny Morton was our football our receivers coach, and he taught me to learn every position on the field. Not don't just learn the Z or the X, learn everything. So when Sean needs a guy to go in there at the X, it's like I'm not saying to myself, well, I don't know that position, I can't get in there. No, I know every position, so I could take any rep seriously. And that's kind of like how I approached it. So when I'm taking reps at the X and the Z and the slot, and Drew seeing me in all these different positions, that's when that trust starts to build between us. And, as he's throwing me the ball and as I'm running the right routes, getting my right depth, and all these nuances that going into, just running, an effective scheme, effective offense, I think that's what really, gravitated, Drew towards me, just that consistent play. And, ultimately, I feel like that's what allowed me the opportunity to make the team and also, just to, get those reps in the games during the season.
What I remember most from we in the media kept all trying to compare you to Lance Moore. They used you in a very similar way. There was some size, there was some history of how you entered the league. And I remember you said very early on, look, Lance is great. All due respect to him. I want to be better than Lance Moore, So you had that confidence early on. You just talked about your attention to detail. I'm sure both of those things were things that both Peyton and Breeze probably liked. What do you think was the secret? Is it more about the attention to detail? Was it something about your grit and toughness and attitude? Your passion? What do you think led you to being one of those guys that defied the odds?
No, I think you said it right, Mike. It was a combination of all that stuff, man. Just the day-to-day, the grit, the competition, just the dog in me that really wanted to make the team. That was my opportunity to show it. Especially when we played against, we were practicing against New England up at the Green Bar. I think I feel like that was my real opportunity to show that. And, like you said, it was just a combination of all those things and taking advantage of opportunities when they were presented to me and not letting those things waste away. Because, I've seen it too many times where guys get an opportunity and they don't make the play or they run the wrong route or, something happens and they never get that opportunity back. And I just didn't want that to happen to me. So I just always took upon preparation, really learning the details, the nuances, trying to get on the same page as Drew and trying to find out what we're trying to accomplish with this play. Just really trying to be a football player and IQ from the IQ point, and not just going out there and running routes and stuff. I feel like that's what kind of separates me. And, also just my ability to block. I really, love to block. I'm a physical player. And I think when you mix that in with the route running ability and you're able to make that look the same, that's when you become, a diverse player in some ways. And I think that's where most of the league is going. All the elite receivers in this league, they block, they catch, they run. I feel like that's an elite receiver. That's a complete receiver. And I always, you know, prided myself, even from college, is just to be a gritty player, the most hardworking player on the field, you know, just to push myself and to, you know, beat the competition that is, you know, fighting for the same spot. You know, 'cause at the end of the day, we're all working for 53 checks. We all want to make the team, you know, and not everybody's going to make it. So it's like, you know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do different? How am I going to be different to earn that spot? And I think at that time, that was my mindset. I got to do whatever I have to get one of those checks and to be suiting up on Sunday every single weekend.
What's that time commitment look like behind the scenes to be, you know, obviously on the field, we see how hardworking, and that grittiness, I think, is kind of, that's the word I would use to define your game. But I'm guessing behind the scenes, like, you're kind of approaching it with that same tenacity. Like, what's the actual time commitment, and what's a week look like?
Yeah, I mean, if we're just going to start on Wednesday when the work week starts, you know, just, you know, when I'm outside the building, it's just taking that extra time to take care of my body, you know, because the best availability is availability. I think that's how I said, but,
Yeah.
you know, I just always want to be available. And part of that is really taking care of your body. And, you know, I had some great veterans to look up to, whether it was Drew Brees, Marcus Poston, Benjamin Watson, Cam Jordan, Mark Ingram. Like, I had a bunch of vets to look up to and show me how do I take care of my body? Because that's just one element of it. So a lot of the time when I'm not on the field is in the sauna, in the treatment room, in the steam room, in the cold tub, hot tub, doing those things to make sure my body's recovered every day to be able to go attack the next day. And then also on the flip side of that is just watching the film, you know, studying the defenses. So, you know, I know what I'm looking at when I'm running my routes. It's not the first time I've seen cover 3 roll to cover 4 or what have you. You know, if you can really be a student of the game, that's when you really take your game to a whole another level. And I feel like that was what I was able to do. And especially when you have, like I said, you have veterans around you like Colston. Like, I never played the slot before I got to New Orleans, you know, and when Colston, really learning from Colston that my first year, it helped me understand leverage. It helped me understand spacing, timing. You know, when I'm in a tight quarter space, you know, I was able to really get with Colston on that. He taught me that. So, you know, like I said, it's a combination of, you know, a bunch of things when I'm on the field to help me get to that point. But, you know, the veterans really did help me take that next step in my growth as a pro, you know, when it comes to studying game film and just seeing Drew, you know, come in at 6 a.m. and leave at 7 p.m. every single day during the week. You know, there's no question why he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, why he throws for 4 or 5,000 yards a year. You know, his dedication pushed me and drove me to be that way. Just as a young player, being able to see, I tell guys all the time, I was spoiled coming to the league, you know, because being able to watch Hall of Famers go at it and to be able to, the day to day, like, you know, you don't really see that anymore, you know, and I'm just speaking for myself. And, you know, that's what I appreciate the most was just the veteran leadership. And, you know, I was able to pay attention long enough to be able to integrate it into my own game, into my own daily routines and all that stuff.
So what is your best Brees or Peyton story? Either one. I'm sure you're telling them all the time to these young guys.
Oh man, I think it was the play, like besides the flea flicker, year one, against the Giants when we scored like 100 points between both teams. I think it was the year after when Sean was trying to get this play called. He's ran it with Lance. He ran it with Marcus Colston, but it was the throwback to the receiver and then throw the ball up the sideline to the running back. And it was funny because, you know, Sean always comes into the receiver meeting rooms and he's always like asking some, you know, off the wall question, or he pulls up a tape that he wants to show a specific route that he's been thinking about all night. He wants to come in there and show us. So he comes in there and he shows this play that he's shown like guys over the years. And he asked me, he said, Snead, can you throw? I was like, yeah, coach, I played quarterback in high school. So we're repping out this play like probably 3 or 4 times during the week. And I hit it every time on the nose. And it's Mark Ingram every single time, which is funny. He's the one catching the touchdown. And Drew is telling me, he's like, man, if you hit this, it's going to be awesome. I'm like, bro, I'm just hoping they block for me because it was the receiver down in front of me, right? He throwing the little quick screen to me, and then I got to hold it for half a second and then kind of throw an accurate ball down the field. So come fast forward to game day, it was against the Rams. We're up like, I think, 35 at this point. And I don't know, I'm listening to Huddle, and I heard the play, and I looked at Drew, and I said, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, he called it." I'm like, "All right, so here we go." So he snaps the ball, he throws me the pass, and I look off the safety for half a second, and then I throw it, and it's Tim Hightower in the game.
Yeah.
So I just let it rip. I just flipped the wrist. I took a shot, and then the next thing I know, I see him dancing his way down into the end zone. It was pretty crazy, man, because the dome was going crazy. We were already up by a lot, which was like insult to injury.
Yeah, there was some insult involved in that game, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was a 50-yard touchdown.
That was a Sean Payton special.
Yeah, 2016.
It was a 50-yard Sean Payton touchdown. Yeah, exactly.
Is that the same play you guys?
That was a good memory. One of those deals.
Is that the same play you got? Then you guys tried it again against Minnesota in the playoffs, right? The Alvin. How close was that one? How much you think about that one?
Oh, good. I think about the fourth down play more, to be honest. I feel like if that play was like the deciding moment whether we were going to be like in the NFC Championship or not, I would have thought about it a lot more. Do I get sick about it? Yeah, because it was like he was wide open, and I think I gave Harrison too much credit, the safety back there. I think I gave him too much credit because I knew he was like a ball hawk and he can go sideline to sideline. So I didn't see him when I pulled up. So I kind of just tried to get the ball up and down quick to Alvin, not really put much air on it like I did with Tim's. And that's when I kind of like outthrew him by like a couple inches. So, I felt sick on the sideline, but when we came back out and that last drive happened where we went down and kicked the field goal, I made the fourth down catch and everything. I kind of forgot about it. And then, everything else happened after that. I'm sure you remember.
That's the thing that kind of stands out to me about that season, though, about you. It was kind of, I'm not going to ask you to comment on it, but like, I don't know, the way it was kind of handled all year was kind of weird. And then they get in the playoffs and that got to have the plays. Like, they're going to you on 4th and 10. They went to you on the key third down. Like, how hard was it for you to just kind of step up and make them plays after kind of how the season was just like a little bit inconsistent with playing time?
Yeah, it was tough. It was a mental battle because I was injured for most of the year with the hamstring. I didn't feel like myself like the first 2 years. I had some, off the field stuff going on at the beginning of the year. And, when I finally got back into it, I wasn't healthy. So, Mike T was coming along and AK was starting to come into his own and Brandon Coleman was doing a great job. So it's kind of like, just, trying to be a pro and, be ready for the moment, because if that's what I learned about everything is just, you always want to be ready, and I think in those playoff games, those particular moments, like if I wasn't mentally ready, like if I was upset or pissed off that the season didn't go the way I thought, I would have never made those plays. I would have never been able to step up and do those things. And, I think it just goes down to like you guys said, it's just being, consistent every day, being a pro, not trying to be caught up in the moment, but be ready for the next moment. It's always about the next play. And, that's what I always prided myself on in this league. It's being ready for the moment. And, I wish that year could have went a lot better. I mean, I feel like if we did get past the Minnesota Vikings, we would have definitely been in the Super Bowl and probably made some noise. But, like I said, like I thought the next year I was going to come back and come with vengeance, man. Like I felt like there was a lot of unfinished business. Just with what you said, just not really, that third year panning out the way I planned it to. I feel like there was some unfinished business in New Orleans for myself.
Well, last year you were with Clint Kubiak in San Francisco. He's going to be the new offensive coordinator here. Obviously, I think a lot of people lump in Clint Kubiak and the Shanahan system. So I guess it's probably two different questions. First of all, what are your thoughts on Clint specifically and any interactions you had with him last year?
Yeah, Clint was only there for a year. He came from Minnesota, but he was a great guy. He was running our Friday morning meetings, Friday morning installs, and you could just tell that he had a good grasp on what we were trying to do. I think Kyle really trusted him just with the installations and stuff because Kyle doesn't really let anybody do that. And Kubiak is just a great dude. We talked before every game. We just kind of talked about what we were trying to accomplish just from the offensive standpoint, whether I was dressing or not. He always tried to come find me, and we always would have the football talk. And I think the scheme that he's bringing over is really going to be predicated on how well the guys take it in and they execute it. Because once it's rolling, especially the run game, it's hard to stop. As you can see over the years with the Niners, man, they just kind of perfected it with the guys in their scheme. Some of those guys have been in the scheme 2, 3, 4 years. So, over time you get better at it. But I think, with Kubiak coming into New Orleans, I think he's got a fresh new, look to the offense. Because I mean, in the past, 10 to 15 years, it's been, Pete and Sean. So I think it's going to bring a fresh flavor to New Orleans when it comes to offensive scheme. And, it's going to be a lot of big windows to throw to. I think it's going to be easy for Derek to really see. And as long as like Brock was just so good with just getting from 1 to 2 to 3, finding those checkdowns. And, that's where Kyle and, Kubiak and a lot of the offensive coaches, they were really good with finding those outlet throws, getting those outlet options for the Q. So he's not taking that pressure. If he feels pressure, he knows exactly where to go. And that's where I think a lot of the good things of that scheme is that, if you do find your check down, it's probably gonna be wide open, probably more often than not. And, if it's not open, that means there's something behind it that's wide open, that's gonna be an explosive. So, it's really predicated on the quarterback and how well he runs it. And that's why, we've been so good in San Fran the past 2 years, because Brock has a great understanding of that. And I think if Derek and the other quarterbacks can grasp that concept of the scheme, I think, that offense is going to thrive a lot. And you guys should be excited for it.
Well, that's one thing. Yeah. So you were in San Francisco for 2 years under Shanahan, and I mean, it's a different system than Sean Payton's system, but where do you see comparisons? I mean, is there something in just an extreme confidence in that? Like you said, the understanding that everyone has that this is going to work, or like, you know what I mean? What do you see? Is there any parallels between being a part of two of the more successful offensive systems that the league has seen during the last decade or so?
Yeah. I mean, if I had to compare it, like Sean's system was more like 60, 65 pass, 40 run. Kyle's more like 60 run. I might throw it on third down. You know what I mean? Like it's not bad. It's not like the Ravens when I was, we were like 70%.
You've been in some unique spots,
run. Man. Yeah, right. since I left New Orleans. But I think Kyle leans more heavy on the run play action. And I think, over the years, especially with Drew, we did play action stuff. Like we did deep crosses and, drift routes. Like it's a similar system when it comes to the West Coast style. That's where the similarities are. Like the overlap is similar there, but the play calling is totally different. And that's where I think, with Kyle, that's why I said with Kyle, he leans more on the run, heavy play action. Third down is where we're going to start getting, mix it up with the pass game. With Sean, we might just come out in 5 wide and just go 2 minute. You never know. So, I think that's when their scheme, the system is very similar in some ways. Of course, there's different wrinkles, obviously. But I think just the style of play calling is totally different from Sean to Kyle.
As a student of the game, like what are some of the things that they do that makes it so, it seems just like every quarterback, it's a very quarterback friendly system. Is that fair to say? And like, what are the things that you see just kind of, as a student of the game that makes it that?
Yeah, I think it is very quarterback friendly when you understand what you have around you and what you're trying to accomplish as an offense. To be honest, I feel like Brock is the best example because like he came in like in such an abrupt moment, but if you saw everything leading up to that, like just the time he spent off the field with, the other coaches and, trying to understand what we're accomplishing with each play, because every play you're trying to accomplish something. You're trying to get this certain person the ball. And if this person doesn't get the ball, this person is going to be wide open. So that's the next step of just this offense is really understanding from the quarterback's point of view. It's like, I got to get to this point. If I feel any type of pressure, if I feel this coming at me, I know I got this open. And it's like, you can't even hesitate. And, for me as a receiver hearing all this, it's like, okay, I know that with certain coverages, with certain looks, I might not get the ball, right? But at the same time, I still got to run my route full speed. I still got to get to my spot because at the end of the day, I could think it's this, but it could end up being that. You know what I'm saying? So like as a student of the game, you just have to be able to really dive in. I've been there for 2 years with San Fran, so I really got to understand the playbook. and it is very quarterback friendly, like I said. But it's like if the quarterback is very like elementary with how he's trying to learn it, it's not gonna
Yeah.
you're not gonna be as efficient, right? But if you got a guy who's diving in like Drew, who wants to know like X, Y, Z, if this doesn't happen, where do we go? If we get this coverage, you get what I'm saying. It's that's how the offense elevates to the next level. So it can be whatever the quarterback chooses it to be. And I know Kubiak is gonna put, some good stuff in because he did add some good stuff in during the season, which we did like as receivers, when it comes to pass game stuff. So I know that's gonna be exciting for the skill players there. But I think just with DC and the other quarterback there, I know if they get a handle on, what Kubiak is trying to accomplish with each play, like it'll look effortless. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll just look like that. Cause that's how, when you watch Brock and people say he's like always going to the checkdowns, it's like, yeah, bro, they wide open. Like it's a part of the concept. You know what I'm saying? Like if they drop underneath the 7, he's going to go down to the flat and pick up 10 yards, first down. It's kind of like that. So, that's kind of the nuances of the offense and kind of like a quote unquote form.
And like I know this offense it's like a lot of 21 personnel, a lot of perimeter blocking, stuff like that. As a receiver, like how willing do these guys got to be, and did you guys have to be to just do the dirty work and block and just kind of do some of the gritty details? Like how big of a part is that?
They got to be all in, bro.
Yeah,
they got to be all in. That's one thing I'll say about our group in not Baltimore, but San Fran, was that we was all in on blocking, from IU to Debo to definitely JJ. Like all of us took blocking very seriously, and we knew if we got our blocks, like there was a chance that Christian or Elijah was gonna break for a touchdown. Because most of the time, if not all the time, the front, they was gonna get their blocks. Because that's how much film we was watching. Like Kyle would spend so much time on film, like during the week, it was like crazy. But he would just watch so much film to where it's like, what you're trying to accomplish. And with the perimeter guys, like we're the second level. So if Christian breaks through the first 7, it's going to either be a DB or safety making the tackle. And at that point, it's on the receiver. So you get like, pointed out. It's like, dude, are you going to get this block? Because it's like, if you're not going to block this dude, like we got to get in there somebody that's going to block. So if BA, because BA don't like to come out the game. If he don't want to come out the game, then he's going to be blocking every play. And he takes, like, if you pull up some of the tape, I know you've seen some of the big blocks BA has. Like, JJ is incredible with it. Debo's a finesser with it, but, like, those guys are all in, So the guys in New Orleans, they definitely got to be all into the blocking scheme, because that's what makes this offense go, is when the run game is efficient and it's on the roll, then it's like you're really going to start to see, really get the most out of that scheme for sure.
What's your approach right now, Willie? Camp's about to open. Phone's open.
Man, my phone is always open, dude. I'm just staying in shape. Like it's crazy to think that I'm going into year 10, year 11,
man. And
just to where I started in New Orleans, it kind of just after I left New Orleans, like it was just like a blur, And like I said, I told my agent my phone is open. I would love to stay closer to home because I'm from South Florida. My family's in South Florida, and flying all the way to San Fran, is a hassle a lot of times for my family. But, I told my agent, I'm like, man, wherever we got to go to make it happen, dude. I only got a couple more years to do it, and I told him if that black and gold start calling, I was like, I would love to retire, in those colors, if anything, because, that's where I started, and it would only seem fitting and right to finish there. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Look, man, it's close. You say you got unfinished business. They need someone that can block. They need someone that can get some yak. I'm just saying, like it would make sense. They got the system.
I was just down there a couple weeks ago for the Peyton Manning camp out there in Thibodeau, and outside of the heat being insanely crazy, man. Like I don't know. We came in a night early. We came in Wednesday night and we stayed at the Lowe's Hotel. And I told my dad, I was like, we used to stay here. Like, this is the hotel. This is the team hotel. And like, literally when I got out the car, the bellboy looked at me. It was like, welcome back, man. I was like, you know who I am? He's like, how could I not? And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. get inside, it's like the guy at the counter knows who I am. It's just like, it had a homey feeling to it. It's just like, man, I haven't felt this in a while. And just driving by the Superdome, driving down Poydras, it was like, man, like there's so much like history here for me. And, just the way I went to Baltimore last year the year that I went, it was like I was so locked in to coming back to New Orleans to kind of like do it the right way, because that third year just didn't, it didn't sit well with me. And I just want to come back with the right mindset, 100% healthy, feeling good. And I literally went through a week of off-season workouts, and then I get the call to go to Baltimore. And they had 5 days to match it and stuff like that, and they didn't match it, so I was in Baltimore. So it's like, that's why I say it feels like unfinished business, because it's like my mindset going into my fourth year was like, hey, I know we're going to be good. Like, we're going to be really good on offense. You know what I'm saying? And that was the year you guys went and played the Rams, right? And the whole deal happened.
Yeah, in 18.
They needed somebody they could throw to on third down then too.
Tommy Lee played, the one they didn't call PI on.
Yeah.
So like that was the year, man. Like I was ready for that year, and I was excited. And then I got the call to Baltimore, and I just, that was a whole different opportunity that I'm grateful for. But just my time in New Orleans was just special. So I just always told my agent, like, man, if it comes down to it, if this is my final year playing, I want it to be in the black and gold, man. Like, I just really feel like if I set the record straight there, finish my career there, I'll be able to walk away from the game happy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look, man, that camp's in California, so you ain't even really got to worry about the heat like that. So
I saw that. Yeah. I was like, really? You guys are probably gonna like that too, huh?
Oh man, yeah, it's hot, man. It's hot. Can't even lie. It's brutal out there.
I was trying to figure it out. I'm standing out there in that Thibodeau heat, and I'm like, man, there's no way they're doing training camp in this, man. This is insane, dude.
Well, all right, man. Hopefully you get that call. We'd love to keep watching you play here, man.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah,
Nick,
thanks for
Mike,
coming
it's
on,
good
man.
to see you guys, man. It's been awesome.
Take it easy, man.
Willie was a former media award winner,
Yeah.
People can see why.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
That was my first year, right after my first year.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I saw Mickey down there in Thibodeau, which is a whole nother story, but it was good seeing him too. He called me out. I'm like, who is this guy calling me? I go over there and he takes off his glasses. Like it's Mickey Boomer. So I'm like, dude, what are you doing out here? It's like, I got a son. He's an 8th grade receiver. He wants to be the next Willie Snead. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm really praying about it.
Yep.
All right, man. Best of luck to you wherever you end up, man.
Thanks, guys.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Shrimp Remoulade combos are back at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Zesty shrimp remoulade served with fried shrimp, catfish, or soft-shell crab starting at $10.99. Or try one of our spring specials, catfish lafitte or lemon caper fish with crab meat, now at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience. All right, welcome back to the Ochsner Podcast Studio. I'm Nick Underhill, joined by Mike Triplett. Willie Snead just joined us. Great interview segment. Bring him home. Bring him back. I'd be down to see what he can do. Bring him in, compete in camp. They could use some help.
Things he does best are the things they're missing on this offense.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to see what he could do, how he could fit in. Already knows the offense, but yeah, I mean, look, covering him, his rise in 2015, as I mentioned in the interview, is one of my most memorable things.
Yeah, but it's one of your most memorable things because you called it. Like, you kind of built your reputation on spotting Willie Snead on like the third practice on the hill in West Virginia, and you've been riding off of it ever since. I always know all the dark horses. Remember Willie Snead?
Yeah, that was the one. I'm claiming that one forever. But yeah, look, kind of on the flip side of that, though, like there's been a lot of chaotic moments over the years covering this team. We could probably do a top 10 draft of like outlandish Saints moments since whatever, 2014, 2006, whatever you want it to be. What's one that stands out to you as soon as that comes out?
Well, you said since 2014. I was thinking
you pick anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about this
at the table.
Just a behind the scenes. I will never forget, and this is one of the biggest moments in Saints history, and that's not the only reason I'm picking it, but I will never forget that I was working at the Times-Picayune at the time, and Drew Brees was in the middle of his contract negotiations with the Saints in 2012, and SportsCenter asked me to come on live. SportsCenter. It was a radio interview, so it was gonna like have my picture and say on the phone with Mike Triplett, Saints reporter, to talk about Drew Brees' contract negotiations. And I got in a quiet room in my house, and I'm on the phone and I'm on hold, and they come on, and I come on, and they're asking me all these questions about bounties.
Oh,
the story broke while I was on hold to go on SportsCenter.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds right. Yeah,
I'm like, all that was going on that same summer. So, yeah, and then I got to cover all of Bountygate. And look, one of the reasons why Bountygate was such BS is it was broken by an NFL press release, which is, everything about covering that. All the people who would have been on the Saints side now because they don't trust Goodell anymore. We're just taking Goodell's word for it then. Saints did a lot of wrong things, but I mean, out of all the gates the Saints have been involved in, that's the moment I'll never forget. How
do you handle that? Because I'm assuming that you're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I mean, I tried to. I realized that a story had come out, and I just started. Well, look, we're trying to gather more information. I was cold at it, but I was not going to admit that I never heard of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, look, and then I was like, yeah, Greg Williams obviously has a reputation for. I want to find that interview somewhere. Unbelievable.
Oh man, for me, like the one that there was one moment I think covering the whole league since I started covering the league that it kind of just like really put me on my ass like when it happened. And I mean that's free agency opens like, and a minute later Jimmy Graham's traded. Like that was the one moment where that was like the most like I couldn't get my head around it. It was like, what is going on here? Didn't think it was gonna happen. That one really, really, really threw me off big time. I
have a story about that. So that happened. That was a summer of a lot of activity. We actually thought Jari Evans was going to get traded, and ended up being Jimmy Graham getting traded.
Kenny
anyway.
Stills got traded too. Yeah.
But when it happened, it was pouring rain that day, just absolute pouring rain, like driving through a New Orleans summer monsoon or whatever. And I was getting back like, all right, I got to go on this. I got to be ready to go on TV. I got to be all this. And my phone rings, and it's Keenan Lewis, who wants to give me an exclusive about how he's demanding a trade too, if this is how they're going to trade.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to pull over in a parking lot, and I have my tape recorder with me, and I'm handwriting Keenan Lewis's trade demands in the wake of it. And I'm like, I have not written my Jimmy Graham newser yet. Thank you for calling me and trusting me with this, but can we do it in like 45 minutes?
Yeah, what a time! Because like there was something else that happened. There were two things that I think hit like big that day. I can't remember what the second one was. But it was like,
but I mean, it was all of it because it was free agency, and they were doing well, they probably signed someone too.
It was just like an absolutely
Kobe
chaotic,
Fleener or something or whatever. I don't know what year that was, but they probably signed somebody because it was the window was opening. But yeah, Jimmy Graham stole the show on that day. But it was just like this avalanche of. Like, I didn't know I was going to have the biggest story, in the nation on this day. Keenan Lewis calls, and I wasn't going to blow him off or anything.
No, because
I'm just saying, this is, like, thank you for calling me and trusting me with this, but he went off, man.
Obviously, the under 17 and 18 are two crazier ones. But for me, it's my mind always, like that Jimmy Graham one made me feel like I never want to be unprepared for something again. Like, because it was like such a caught by surprise. That was kind of like, this is never going to happen again. Like, I got to know like more of what's going on. Because I hated that. Like, it was just like Kenny Stills was kind of foreshadowed a little bit. There was a little bit of talk around it, but like Jimmy was just like, what's
I didn't believe
happening?
it. I had a source, believe it or not. I mean, I had a source float that to me as an idea, and it was one that just didn't check out with anyone else I talked to. So I kind of dismissed it. Like I said, I had actually, I think pre-written, I thought Jari Evans was going to get traded, and the Jimmy Graham one did catch a lot of people by surprise.
All right, now it's time for our Martin's questions of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of handpicked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin, so much more than just wine. All right, we're going to do two of these today.
We had some good submissions.
We did have some good submissions. And today is NCAA release day. So first of all, who you running with? Like if you're starting a franchise, you're on the game. You don't want to take a big school. Like you can't take a big school. You got to build one that's kind of a little bit smaller. Me and Brandon were talking about this on the last one. When we get done with this, like I don't know, like Tulane's on my list. Like I'm from Pennsylvania, Pitt's on my list. Like I don't know. So
you can take a team that isn't already built to win, and you're going to make them a winner.
Yeah, like you don't want to go into something with like a front runner.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm from Iowa. I went to Iowa. They've never been any good, so I'd have to pick Iowa, right? I have to turn Iowa into and they're about to eat it in the Big Ten.
I'm kind of thinking about South Alabama right now is one. Like I want to take something from like, I want to bring something from the dust and build it up. Like I was trash. I'll let you.
Why'd you go South Alabama? How about Louisiana Lafayette then? Louisiana Lafayette.
UL's good. UL's a good one. Yeah. If you wanna put Iowa down there, I'm not arguing.
Iowa's already the answer to my Martin's question of the day, so I don't want to give him too much love. I'll go Lafayette Raging Cajuns. They got a great nickname. I got a lot of fantasy teams named Raging Cajuns because I moved down here and I adopted that nickname.
All right,
my wife went to school there. Yeah, Raging Cajun.
All right, but same one. This one comes from at Hudat Content on Twitter. He said, on our college football 25 coming out today, who is your favorite college football player of all time?
All right, well, this is an Iowa homer thing, but anybody who was around would agree with me because he was one of those. Tim Dwight was incredible. I don't know if you remember the Tim Dwight era.
No, I do.
Yeah. At the time, he was the Big Ten's all-time punt return leader with 5 punt return touchdowns, and then Ted Ginn Jr. tied his record, our old buddy Ted Ginn Jr. But he also won the Big Ten 100-yard dash. He was incredible. They just didn't have offenses creative enough to use him. They would throw deep to him, and he would just they didn't have a quarterback. He'd catch like 2 passes as the most dynamic player, but he was incredible. When I covered Iowa football, this was the late 90s, there were 2 guys that I would have lost my entire family fortune. But these guys are going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. One was running back Tyrone Wheatley. Thought he was going to be Michigan. Thought he was going to be the next Bo Jackson. Didn't quite happen. And the other was Andy Katzenmoyer. He had a whole bunch of issues. Those 2 guys were incredible. Just as a viewer and a fan, though, what Vince Young did for Texas that year and that particular game, that Texas USC game, Vince Young, Reggie Bush, I've never enjoyed college football more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm following up on that, and this isn't like the Homer New Orleans pick, but like Reggie Bush for me is the guy that kind of like stopped time. And I was like 17 at the time when like the rise started. Like it was just it was like something I've never seen before. And when he played, like you had to stop to watch him play. Like time stopped for him. Like Kevin Durant was one of those guys at Texas for me that kind of had the same effect. Pedro Martinez, like when he pitched, like I stopped to watch Pedro pitch. Like
ESPN
like Reggie
just did
was
their
in that,
100 greatest athletes of the century, and my jaw hit the floor at how low Pedro Martinez was on that list. Like in the 90s.
Yeah, no, like it was
like
like an event.
I thought he'd be more top 20.
It was like I feel like Skeens is kind of like I don't even watch baseball, but like when I see Paul is pitching, like I'm finding their game. Like I'm watching the Pirates. I want to see what he does. Like
Pedro was like that.
Yeah, Pedro was absolutely like that. All right, time for the next one from our guy Andrew. Who would you pencil in as most likely to have a career year? And on the opposite side, who is most likely to regress?
It's a good question. I mean, career year, guys we want to buy stock in. I mean, you're kind of cheating maybe if you say a young player like Brazier or Olave. I'm going to go, I had trouble with this one. I did Pete Werner for the buy stock in, and maybe he'll get there, but Cesar Ruiz is my answer.
Okay.
I feel like he's messed around with not tapping into his potential for going on 5 years now. Healthy, slimmed down, excited about this offense. Feels like the offense should be good for all these offensive linemen. So I'll say Cesar Ruiz.
Yeah, for me, like I think the career year guy, and I almost feel cheating saying this, like Shaheed just feels like the safest bet on it. Like just can he have more yards than last year? Career year, does it fit well? I like some of the stuff. Like I just did a story on like how they're running 21 personnel, like in all the places more so than anywhere else. You get a team and base defense, and like Shaheed can maybe take the top off it a little bit. Like I like the idea of that.
He's gonna. The thing about him more than anything too is I think snaps an opportunity. I mean, he's not going to be a part-time receiver. I mean, I think his snaps are going to more than any other number he puts up. His snaps are going to vault up this year.
I like your pick a lot too, just because of all the stuff we've been talking about. Their O-line, like possibly making things better on guys. He's athletic. Maybe he is prime for that, and everything kind of clicks. I like the idea of the coaching. He kind of went through the Marone school, took to it. Like maybe this school kind of takes him to another level. So yeah, that's kind of a sneaky good pick. As far as regression, there's really no one that kind of jumps out at me. Like I think like the kind of cheaterish type pick is just picking one of the old guys.
Yeah,
like
it is
at some point, like one of them's gonna slip back a little bit. So I would go there.
Yeah, I mean. So we saw it happen with Cam Jordan, and actually, I'm not picking Cam Jordan for this because I think he regressed even more.
No, Cam probably goes up this year.
That I think he actually plays even better this year. I think he's going to be better this year than he was last year. But overall career curve,
he got the ankle surgery and everything.
Do you think anyone like Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Alvin, Taysom? Do you think anyone regresses as significantly as Cam did last year, or do you think I feel like all of them will be a little worse than they were? Maybe not Taysom, but I feel like Tyrann and Demario will not be as good as they were last year. But I don't expect drop off.
Well, I think the thing is with like Demario, you'd probably have to see like an injury for the steep decline. Like I think that he's probably going to mitigate that for a while, just intelligence, anticipation, all that stuff. Tyrann plays more in space, so like if he lost a step, like I think it would probably show up a little bit more. But like if you're gonna pick one of those guys, like just like blindly pick them, and I don't think there's a reason to pick any of them for the record until we see it. And I think like a guy like Taysom or a guy like Alvin's a hit away from that kind of maybe showing it up. And
they're running back. They run the ball.
Yeah, they're at the age.
You got to pick a running back.
Yeah, they're in the age where that's kind of you're scared of it a little bit, but. I'm not betting on any of them to really fall off. But if like for the sake of this discussion, it's somebody in that in that cloud is who you just kind of grab to, and it's cheating. But like the flip side of this is like who played so far over their head last year that they regressed.
And I can't think of one.
I don't think there's anybody.
Maybe it's Rashid Shaheed. No, I mean
I don't think anyone overachieved last year. I think there was a lot of underachieving across the board.
Who has the Pete Werner regression?
Yeah,
if anyone.
And like I mean, there was no way to pick Pete before last year.
Yeah.
It just kinda
Paulson Adebo played over his head, maybe. Carl Granderson. Those are guys who might not be as good as they were last year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Here's a sneaky candidate, Marshawn. Yeah. I mean, 2 years with the injuries and the stop and the start and the contract talks and everything. What if he comes out and he's not all world anymore? I mean, that's a scary possibility. Yeah.
But. All right, that's going to do it for the show. We got a couple questions for overtime, so if you're subscribed to NewOrleans.Football, that's going to play after the end credits. For everybody else, sign up for the site. NOF, use a code to save 20% on your first payment. All of our practice reports, live viewings of the tapings of these shows when our power isn't going out like it did today. Apologize to y'all for that, but we're up and we got it out. So
practice reports next week.
Next week,
Can you
can't wait.
believe that?
I'm excited, man. I'm so ready to get this thing going. But yeah, we'll be right back after this for overtime.